students, today we will go through the chapter and we will have a glance on the topic and we will discuss with the topic related questions and if you have any doubt regarding the topic, you go through the previous video, that is an elaborated video. So let's have a look on the topic of this chapter, king, farmers and town. So here comes, explain the development in different parts of India after the end of Harappa civilization, or it can be asked, what were the causes for the rise of the early state or Mahajanpad? So here you can see there were several development, okay, that took place during the time period between 1900 BCE to 600 BCE. What was the development? What were the changes that took place? So first we talk about the compositions of Veda. Here you can see the four Veda, the Rig Veda, the Sam Veda, the Yajur Veda and the Athar Veda and other religious literary works, okay, was composed during this period. Dharma Sutra was also written during this time. Then we see the agricultural settlement that emerged in many parts of the subcontinent, especially when the use of iron. Iron was a very important development of the, as the iron tool greatly boosted the agricultural production. Then you can see expansion of the iron from the Indus to Ganga Valley, and they start forming a large territory, enable people to be self-sufficient and remain or stay on their land. So new mode of disposal. Here you can see in this period dead bodies buried in a grave, and these graves were surrounded by big stone called megaliths. It was buried with a rich range of iron tools and weapons. If the dead bodies were buried with this iron tool, it showed the importance of iron during that period of time, because generally they buried the dead body along the valuable goods. So if you talk about the iron was very valuable at the time, and it make easier to dig the earth for the burial. Then you can see emergence of town and trades, as we talk about the very important centers. Here you can see new urban centers were developed like Ujjain, Takshila, Patliputra and Mathura. Here you can see emergence of a new religion, okay, that we call the Buddhism and Jainism. And then we talk about the range of sources. Here you can see they were able to understand this period due to the availability of range of sources, inscription, text, coins. So you can see these were the causes of the rise, or you can see rise of Mahajanpad, or what were the causes for the rise of or the development that took place during the end of the Harappan civilization. Then comes another topic, the Princep and the Piyadasi. Okay, who was Gem Princess? What was his contribution in the development of Indian epigraphy? So here you can see the Gem Princess was an officer in the mint of the East India Company, and the contribution we talk about that he deciphered Brahmi, okay, and the Kharosti scripts used in the earliest inscriptions and coin, and then he deciphered the rock edicts of Ashoka, thus give a new direction to the investigation into early Indian political history. Early historians, they composed whatever they used these inscriptions and text composed in a variety of languages to reconstruct the lineages of the major dynasties. Now the scholars began to shift their focus on the context of political history, investigating whether they were connection between political changes and economic and social development. So here you see the another topic is inscriptions. So it can be asked that what do you mean by inscriptions, why they are important. So when we talk about the inscription, how you will define it, you can see the inscriptions are writing engraved on the hard surface such as stone, metals or pottery. And what are the importance here? You can see inscriptions record the achievement, activities or ideas of those who commissioned them, include the exploitation of king or the donation made by men and women to the religious institution. If we talk about it is a virtually permanent records, they carry important dates. If not, they are dated on the basis of calligraphy. So here comes the questions can be asked in 1 mark. What is calligraphy? So you can see that it is a style of writing. So the another importance of this inscription, you can see that they were written in Prakrit, a name for the language used by the ordinary people. So here comes another topic, the earliest state, the 16 Mahajanpad. The questions here it can be raised that describe the silent features of Mahajanpad. The 6th century is often regarded as a major turning point in the early Indian history. Yes, you can see a major turning point in the early Indian history. So if we talk about this era, it is associated with the growing use of iron and the development of coinage. It witnessed the growth of diverse system of thought including Jainism and Buddhism. And if you talk about some of the Mahajanpads were ruled by kings, some known as Gan or sons. were oligarchies where powers were shared by men, often collectively called Raja. So each Mahajanpad had its capital, which was often fortified. You can see the paint. So you can see maintaining these fortified cities as well as providing for incipients around and bureaucracy required resources. So Brahmins begins this composing text known as the Dharam Sutra. They laid down norms for the ruler. Maintain the army and the bureaucracy, they need resources. So rulers were advised to take taxes and tribute from cultivator. Some states acquired standing armies, others continued to depend on militia, were often then not from the, they were from the peasantry. Okay. So here you can see there were many factors that were responsible for the rise of the Magad. So here you can see, if we talk about how did the Magad became the most powerful Mahajanpad between 6th to 4th century BC. So here whatever we discussed earlier, and now you can see that modern historians, they explain the development to varieties of way. First, the Magad located in the Gangetic basins where the soils was very fertile and yield good agricultural produce. And if you talk about the land revenue, it was very high and it provided huge income for the kingdom. If you talk a thick forest, it supplied timbers for timbers and elephant. Timber were used in the construction of houses, while elephant were used in the army. And it had great deposits of copper and iron ore were used to make weapons and agricultural implements. Here trade also flourished that helped Magad to maintain a large army, and it enjoyed a favorable geographical condition. Okay, its oldest capital, Rajgira, was surrounded by three hills. Okay, then we talk about the new capital Patliputra was situated on the bank of the river Ganga, which provided a natural barrier against any attack on the kingdom. So in this topic, in early empire, we will cover the sources that were used to reconstruct the history of the Mauryan Empire and the Mauryan administration. Okay, so when we talk about the Mauryan Empire, you can see who founded the Mauryan dynasty. So here you know it's Chandragupta Maurya, and the other rulers were Bindusar and Ashoka. So here comes finding about the Mauryans. Finding out about the Mauryans, here we talk about the sources that were used to reconstruct the history of the Mauryan Empire. So there were variety of sources as far as the archaeological and this literary sources. So when we talk about the literary sources, you know Megasthenes, Indica, and this Kautilya, Arthashastra. Okay, and then you can find some other also that beside these you can see Buddhist, Jain, and Puranas literature as well as the Sanskrit literary work. And the other valuable resources, the sources here are the archaeological sources. We talk about the inscriptions, the coins, the pillars. Okay, so here the inscriptions are on the rocks and pillar and the coin. Okay, so here comes our word dham. So what is this dham? Okay, and the questions which can be formed here are what does Ashoka inscription tells us about the Mauryans, or how did Ashoka try to hold his empire together? So you can see Ashoka tried to hold his empire together by propagating dham. Okay, it is a code of certain ethnical principles and universal dimension. So here you can see Ashoka was the first ruler, okay, who created a class of dham Mahamat and was to enforce the message of dham. They were required to look after the welfare of different sects. So how he spread the message of dham, you can see that he inscribed his message, okay, to his subject and official on the stone surfaces, natural rock as well as polished pillar understood the dham. Okay, what set of principles were there in dham? So you can see that were based on religious tolerance, respect to elders, care for the old one, kindness toward the needy, purity and truthfulness, no killings of animals, and he said no to violence. So Ashoka assumed the title of Priyadasi and Devampriya as the inscription tell about Ashoka. Then you can see Ashoka claimed in his inscription that earlier ruler had no arrangement to receive report. He appointed Pativedak as a reporter to report him all the affairs related to his subject, and he will try to resolve as we saw in the source number 10. Then comes the administering the empire. So here you can take the source 1 and source 2. Okay, a questions here is that how this extract from the account of Megasthenes, okay, and Arthashastra. Here is the Arthashastra is useful in reconstructing a history of Mauryan administration. Okay, and another simple question they can ask that to explain the main features of the Mauryan administration. So come to here, according to the account of this Megasthenes, you can see they were officials who were appointed to supervise various occupation groups. Of this officer was some of them superintendent the rivers, measure the land and inspected by which the water is let out from main canals into the branches. Some had changes of the huntsman or were entrusted with the power of rewarding or punishing them. They collected the taxes and superintended they or superintended, okay, the occupation connected with land as those of occupation connected with land with the woodcutter, the carpenter, the blacksmith, and the miners. So you can see the account that help in the reconstructing the history of the Mauryan administration. Come to the another source. Here you find a Shastra that laid down minute details of administration, according to which the Mauryan rulers had a standing army of 6 lakh foot, soldiers of 30,000, and you can see and cavalry and 9,000 elephants. Okay, so if we talk about the features of the Mauryan administration, so you can see that there were 5 major political centers in the empire: the central, the Patliputra, and the provincial center of Takshila, Ujjaini, Tosli, and Swarnagiri. Okay, so when we talk about these provisional centers, they were carefully chosen, both Takshila and Ujjain being situated on important long distance statehood, while if we talk the Swarnagiri was possibly for tapping gold mines of Karnataka. King had an effective control over the military. Okay, therefore through a warfare you can see which was divided into committee and subcommittee as mentioned by Megasthenes. The subcommittee are as follow: first look after navy, second look after the transport and provision, the third subcommittees look after the infantry, the fourth was to look after the houses, the fifth had to the responsibility of chariot, and when we talk the sixth had the responsibility of elephant. So the activity of the second subcommittee were varied to arrange for bullock carts to carry equipment, procuring foods for soldiers and fodders for animals. So to recruit the servants and artisans to look after the soldiers. Other officials are those connected with the administration of the city, and those you can see who worked among friendly peoples. When we talk about the headmen of the village were known as Gramik. The Amatya assisted the governor, and the Pradeshika and Rajjuk officers were responsible to collect taxes. Then you can find the appointment of Dham Mahamatra and why he was appointed: for the spreading of the message of Dham. So here we saw the administrations of the Mauryan Empire.